Teaching Tax Flow podcast, where the goal is to empower and educate you to legally and ethically minimize taxes paid over your lifetime.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast, episode 34 today, really looking at financial literacy and education. So on this topic, we're going to meet a great guest momentarily who's really going to describe how she got in to where she is today, and really how she merges her passion and helping people and impacting their lives as much as possible. Before we meet this guest, let's take a moment and thank our sponsor, as always.
This podcast is brought to you by Legacy Lock. If you are new to estate planning or simply need to review your current plan, Legacy Lock makes it as easy as pie. Legacy Lock is a unique platform that enables you to easily complete your attorney-drafted documents conveniently from the comfort of your home or office. Your first step to this peace of mind is simply visiting teachingtaxflow.com/legacy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Teaching Tax Flow, the podcast. John Trapolsky here from the TTF team. We decided to bring him back. We got Nate Hamill with us from our team as well. How's it going, Nate?
Oh, John's going well. How are you?
Pretty good. I hesitated to say that you were back with us because sometimes, we like to keep you off to the side. We don't let you out of the room too much, but hey, we'll unleash the beast. So
hey,
welcome to have, glad to have you back with us. And you brought a friend.
I did.
You brought somebody that kind of played in the same financial realm, world, era, arena, whatever we want to call it, as you, didn't you?
I did. I brought a rock star.
Oh, I'd like to hear. I'm a giant Nickelback fan, right? So when you say rock stars, that's like the only band that comes to mind. So that's the great thing about this podcast, everybody. You cannot comment back to us because we're not doing this one live. So keep your Nickelback jokes to yourself. As always, I take enough heat for that one. But long story short, so our guest today, again, somebody who Nate has known for a while. She was a chief petty officer in the U.S. Navy, and the resume doesn't stop there. It keeps going. But now also, I believe it's co-owner and founder-ish, we can call it, from Moore and Lee LFG Financial Group, Kenyata Moore. How are we doing today, Kenyata?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Welcome to the party, as I say it.
I'm glad.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. For anybody that's listened to this podcast before, awesome. Welcome back. We're glad to have you. If you haven't heard this before, to say this is your first episode that you're joining us, obviously go back and listen to those before, but we do this very casual, right? So sure, we talk taxes, we talk money, we have fun. But on this episode specifically, I'm actually going to let Nate run the show a little bit here, and I'm just going to kind of zip my mouth again because you guys can talk finance. That's what you guys do.
We can.
But yeah, I hope so. That's kind of why you're here, right? So
right.
Hopefully you guys can. But again, if you haven't listened to the show, very casual, we're just going to jump right into it here. Kenyata, I know you have an excellent past. You've been up to a lot of things. I think you took a little road trip, or I should say a flight trip, over to DC. So I know you got a great story there. But besides that, Nate, I know you had some good questions lined up for. Why don't you fire away, brother?
Well, John, you teed it up perfectly for us. Kenyata, recently you did take a trip out to DC, and I've known you for years, but for somebody that doesn't know you, that's just hearing you for the first time, give me a little background, a brief background up to your trip to DC, and tell us why you were there.
A brief background. Well, okay. I started in this industry about 3 years ago. I've been building ever since. I started at a different company and then decided that I wanted to build our own brand and really work with the clients that we enjoy working with. So I came over and started our own firm here at Keystone at the Crossing in Indianapolis. So from there, we've just been building. So I have 9 financial representatives here, and I got invited to go out to Washington, D.C. to talk to certain members of Congress, mainly to focus in on bringing financial education to schools here in the Indianapolis area, as well as educating them on the lack of financial education among women, especially women and minority African-American women. 46% of us are retiring into poverty. And that is a sad statistic that I'm really advocating for change. And that's a big reason why I made the move to come over and open my own firm.
And so for you, it has to be like first off, I know your passion, I know your energy, I know your excitement. So for me to say this, it doesn't surprise the people that know you, but I think for other people, they might be surprised that is such a motivating factor that when your eyes pop open in the morning, it's like the engine is already in fifth gear with the pedal all the way down at top speed.
Absolutely.
What is it for you that first and foremost, you wake up every day thinking, if I can accomplish blank, it has been a successful day?
If I wake up in the morning, well, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think of, if I can change someone's life, it's success. I just want to be an impact to someone. I came from the east side of Indianapolis, where most of us are not having the opportunity to excel in these different types of careers. We're not even getting the opportunity to see the financial industry. I never had an advisor knock on my door, knock on my parents' door, or teach us about money and finances. Thus, I was never able to step out and go to college straight out of high school. That wasn't an option for us. So there's a lot of things that I want to change. I want to make sure that people have the means to do those things, the means to go to college, the means to get into the financial industry, the different ways to save their money, a way to retire and not live in poverty. I mean, there's just so many things that motivate me every day, but those are my big driving factors, is just to make a change in this community.
And that's incredible. It's interesting because I'm reminded back to something that I think both you and I have said to clients before, which is our hope is that money becomes a tool and not a burden. Absolutely. Not something that just like, I just have to make it by. I just have to get by. But hey, this is how I thrive. This is how I excel. And so if I'm hearing you right, it's like, if you can wake up every day and impact one person's life to where 10 years from now, they're like, man, I'm really glad I connected with Kenyata, whether the dollars roll in or not, because never once did you say you want to impact somebody's life financially.
Yeah.
Which I love. And a testament, I was at the back end of having my practice and you were at the front of having yours. And it was interesting because when I was under the firm that we were at together, I had set records for first year, and then you came in and shattered all of them. And it's been fun to watch because it's a meteoric rise. And eventually that meteor is going to find a stationary place, is going to find a place where it can kind of settle down. But until that day, looking back at your military career, what are the things that you learned from your time as a chief petty officer that you are applying to your business now, to your clients' lives, to your employees' lives, that are just making the biggest impacts?
I'd say the biggest thing I learned in the military was service of others. You always put your service members above yourself. As a chief, that's the first thing. It's lean on your fellow chiefs mess. It's take care of your sailors first, last, and always. So coming here, that's my motto. My clients are first, last, and always. I want to make sure I'm taking care of them. I want to make sure they have what they need. I want to make sure that when that day comes and they have to make the worst call of their life because they've lost a loved one, that I'm the one on the other end of the phone answering it and helping them and walking them through it and making sure that I can tell them that you're going to be okay. That's why I'm here. It's just a service of others. So I feel like if you have the opportunity to be in this field, to work around amazing people, and you could work with the rich and the famous and everyone, but to change someone's life who never even knew it was possible, it's true service of others. I want to make people who don't know that financial security is possible, financial foundations are possible, sending your kids to college is possible. I want to make sure they know that. Then I've done everything I could ever do in life. That's the legacy I want to leave, and that's what I want my kids to do, is serve others.
I love that. And I want to pick your brain more about your practice, because you said you can serve the rich, the poor, the whatever. I want to pick your brain on that. Know that there are financial advisors out there who have specialties, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yep. I know myself, when I had my practice in full swing, I specialized in medical professionals, but I serviced everybody. So for you, what is that niche? What is that bucket? What is that target audience for you?
My target audience, I mean, it's changed, right? So when I first came, I worked mainly with military members, but as I've grown, I'm working more with community leaders and working in my community more. I really love working with women. is like my strength. I really want to change their lives. Obviously, like I said, 46% of African American women are retiring in poverty. So I really do focus in on making sure that I can help be a change in that statistic. But the beauty of working at my firm is that we can help everyone. So our firm works with everyone, all walks of life from, every which way. So that's the benefit of working here. It's just that we serve everyone. We even have an estate planner who we partner with. So she comes on and does some amazing work on the estate planning side. We work partnering with some CPAs who do amazing things. And I really just, realtors and lenders, I just feel like there's not a person that my firm can't serve. And that's what
I love it. And you're connected to TTF, so we know we can get them the best tax education out there.
Absolutely.
So, Kenyata, I have one last question for you. But first, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
Calling me, sending me a text message, email, either one. So if they want to give me a call, my number is 317-606-5302. If they want to shoot me an email, it's kmoore@lfgco.com. And they can email me, they can call me, they can also find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm pretty accessible and
Perfect.
I answer anything I get pretty quickly.
And you're super busy, but you're very good about getting back to people. I know you're constantly at sporting events like I am.
Yeah.
But my final question, 50, 60, 70 years from now, when life slows down and you look back at the impact you've had, what for you is the most picturesque sunset of accomplishments that you could sit on your proverbial rocking chair and look over and be really, really satisfied at the life you've led?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd have to say, if I'm sitting back in my rocking chair and I'm thinking about everything that I've done in life, the biggest thing I'll be proud of is knowing that every one of my clients has a protection plan in place. And if they lost their lives at that time, I know that their generations have been protected and their kids coming behind them and their grandkids, and they all have things in place to take care of them. That's the biggest thing that means something to me. Investing is the fun part, right? It makes all the money. It's the wow factor. But the reality of the factor is, did I protect them correctly? Did I take care of their family for a lifetime? And that's what makes me happy.
I love it. So the cornerstones I've heard from you are individual attention, relationships, and a plan that is unshakable and infallible.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Nate, that's
I think I got Kenyata through the paces. Anything you want to add?
Well, I got to pick up the mic that you just dropped with the little knowledge bomb there. So let me pick that one up. Kenyata, thank you so much for joining us. I honestly, I've been jotting down notes here on my yellow sticky notes because I can't find my notepad wherever that wandered off to. I got about 6 of them filled here. No specific questions to ask you, but things that you had mentioned that are very impactful, right? So, Nate, I think you had kind of either you said it or really recapped it as well too. It's that, the money is the tool. It's not the actual, that's what it is. Like that, it's not all about the money. Like the money is there, or the money comes in, the money goes out just quick as it came in some cases. So thank you guys for doing that and really just chatting, kind of sitting on the pine or riding the pine on this one was actually pretty enjoyable because I get to sit here and listen to both of you. So if anybody has any questions, obviously reach out to Kenyata, reach out to Nate on our team, reach out to myself, anybody. We're happy to make the connections, happy to answer any of the questions. Hop onto that Defeating Taxes private Facebook group that we have. Consider this a personal invite from the team. We're happy to help out. That's what we're here for, Nate. I know you'd mentioned too, and we've always talked about it and always mentioned it. The whole goal of teaching tax flow is just that, right? It's to teach. It's to teach stuff. We're taking, all this stuff that's been in Chris Picuro's brain and just extrapolating it. Think of it as like a bio lab. We're just taking it from him, whether he wants to tell us or not.
And then we get to season it.
Great information.
Then we get to season it with wonderful guests like Kenyata and others.
But again, thank you guys for doing this. Obviously, Nate, we'll try to have you back every once in a while. You behaved yourself pretty good. So, but thank you everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week as always. This was a great show, as I always say. Thank you, Nate, for bringing Kenyata on with us as well. It's always great to meet people that you've known for a while. Kenyata, as you listen to this, a thank you from me, not just for joining us, but also for not harassing Nate too much. So we tend to try to be as nice to him as possible. That way he gets back on the show with us. But in all seriousness, thank you guys for joining us and really listening to Kenyata's story about how she got to this point, where her plans are for the future, and really just how important, financial literacy and really just education as a whole is, obviously in school systems and beyond that, right? I think, Kenyata, you went into some detail on, again, maybe some opportunity that you may have not had in the past, so you really created it yourself. And massive kudos for that. That's always great hearing those stories. And then also, as we mentioned, anybody that's listening, if you have any questions for the Teaching Tax Flow team or Kenyata, please feel free to reach out on that Defeating Taxes private Facebook group, on our Facebook channel, anywhere that you can get a hold of us. We always welcome any questions or comments regarding the show, regarding any of the topics that we have on Teaching Tax Flow. So again, I believe I mentioned this a few weeks ago. If you're not a member of that Facebook group or following our Facebook page for Teaching Tax Flow, be sure to do so. We have some great announcements that we will start to be rolling out here in the next few weeks, not just for our current members of Teaching Tax Flow, but also those on our mailing list, etc. So we look forward to announcing that and getting some fantastic feedback as well too. So I'll give you a little hint. It has something to do with an overhaul. So that's it. No more hints. And to leave you with that cliffhanger, we'll see everybody soon. Thank you so much.
The content of this podcast does not constitute an offer of securities. Offerings can only be made through an offering memorandum, and you should carefully examine the risk factors and other information contained in the memorandum. The content provided is for educational purposes only. We encourage you to seek personalized investment advice from your financial professional. For all tax and legal advice, please consult your CPA or attorney. Investment advisory services are offered through Cabin Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Cabin Securities, a registered broker-dealer.